And joining me now is Rahul Oka. He's the Ford Family Assistant Professor of Anthropology and Economic Anthropologist and Professor of Anthropology and Africana Studies here at Notre Dame. Rahul's research focuses on displaced people, most notably living in Kakuma, a permanent refugee camp in northern Kenya. Rahul, welcome to Notre Dame Day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Great to have you here. So you spent a lot of time in Kakuma. Can you describe a day in the life of someone who lives there?
Well, it's interesting because on the one hand, they have to do the things that refugees have to do. So you have to wait in line. So you get up in the morning, you have your breakfast, but then you might have paperwork to do. Somebody might have called you from the medical services for resettlement. You have to update your papers. You have to stand in line for food, for water. But then the other things are just very normal. You take your children to school. You make lunch for them. You hang out with friends, you prepare for a feast in the evening, you go to the coffee shop and you hang out with your friends, and you exchange the news of the day. You watch TV, you watch the latest soaps from Mexico or from India, and then you discuss them. The women get together, the men get together, and so on the one hand, you have everything that they have to do as a refugee, which is essentially trying to get to the new place that they're going. And on the other hand, you have a life that is normal, just like ours.
And can you describe a little bit the economies that develop in refugee camps?
So I actually isolated about 8 different kinds of economies. So there's the mainstream economy, which is the commercial economy. There's shops of all kinds. You can get whatever you want, from electronics all the way to clothes, perfumes, and so on and so forth. And if you have the money, you can get whatever you want. In fact, that's what they say. If you got the cash, you can get what you want. But then there's the relief economy, in which the food that the relief industry gives sold into the black market. So there's black market economies over there, and people sell the food so that they can actually buy something nice for their children, because you cannot be human if you're just eating maize, boiled maize all the time. Your child says, I want candy, and when you can give your child candy, that's something. Yeah, right? It makes you feel like a human. So there's all these different kinds of economies in which everybody is exchanging something and doing something to sort of live these lives of dignity. Right?
And how do you hope to change the way the world tries to help places like Kakuma?
Well, my research is focused on both narrative, like, collecting people's experiences, understanding how they actually do things, as well as collecting data, and to combine those together to help policymakers understand and negate the difference between the refugees and us, so that we understand their humanity, and so we understand why they're doing what they do to live lives of dignity, because policymakers are humans too, and human beings. And if you can, my goal is to contract that distance so that policymakers will actually see the refugees in them and themselves in the refugees, sort of this self-reflexivity.
And what makes Notre Dame particularly equipped to take on these problems?
Well, for one, it's actually a place where you got the Kellogg Institute, Kroc Institute, the EC, iSensor, which is the Network Science Institute. So you got all these institutes that come together to essentially where people from various disciplines are coming and they're talking with each other. We're working together on projects. And then you have the colleges that are extremely supportive, all the way from the deans all the way to the provost level. And then, I mean, one of the most fascinating things I've had here is that the alumni are so involved that they take a particular interest, they encourage, and whatever they can do to help, they will. And the best thing about Notre Dame is that usually if I'm writing a grant and I'm talking about social justice, I might downplay that aspect. But at Notre Dame, that's not the case. Social justice is an important part of the research. You're not just doing this research in a vacuum.
How does anthropology fit into the picture?
So anthropology is that discipline that is in the social sciences, but it straddles everywhere from, you can look at poetics and sort of stories, all the way to molecular anthropology, genetics, technological studies. And it provides a home for multiple forms of data to come together to actually to try and bring some answers to very complex questions, and the understanding that the great answers are not found in any one data set or any one way of thinking, but it's the whole study of humanity is a complex thing, and it has to be approached in a complex way, and that's what anthropology actually gives.
All right, well, Rahul, thank you again for joining us. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.